good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to a special episode where we look at Gameweek Wildcard drafts. The wildcards are flying all over the place with the injury news, so we figured we'd try to build one for you live on the stream today. I'm your host, Zophar, and I'm joined by my co-host, Lateriser. Glad we're doing this, buddy. How are you doing?
Yeah, it's probably the first time we're looking to build a wildcard draft together.
Live,
So I'm
yeah.
just, yeah, I'm interested in it as
Our
an
tech allows
activity.
it
I'm
now.
interested.
Earlier, my PC used to go all
Yeah,
over the place, so let's see how it goes.
yeah, and it's fun because we have contrasting styles. So I'm looking forward to what we look forward to, what we not. Also, from a selfish point of view, I think I'm one attacker away still from wildcarding. I haven't wildcarded yet. A lot of people in the chat are asking. I haven't wildcarded yet, and I'll share some reasons for that later. So this is just like a good practice if I need an emergency wildcard after the press conferences tomorrow.
Great. So we will be
Yeah.
using planfpl.com, which is also a part of the Fantasy Football Scout Network, who are a sponsor of this pod. Please sign up for membership using the affiliate link in the description below. Right, let's get started. First up, goalkeeper positions.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we should do is probably just start with the obvious picks first, and so that we leave the debatable picks for a little later. What do you think about that?
Yeah, let's do that. I think Ariola, I'll just slot him in there first.
Yeah, and even if it's obvious, I think let's just quickly cite out the reasons. Areola as a keeper has got Newcastle at home, Villa away, Everton at home, Brentford away, Forest at home, Burnley away. After Burnley away, he's got Crystal Palace at home and Spurs away. So until game week 15, that run of fixtures looks good. And I think we're going to agree on this a little later, but based on what we've seen in the first 7-8 game weeks, rotation just doesn't work. I mentioned it on the pod on Tuesday as well. You got to try catching those 10-point hauls, but they come in the sort of middling fixtures. So you agree with that?
I'd agree with that completely. The second goalkeeper position, I put in Turner for now, but in case we need 0.1, I don't mind squeezing that down to a dud as well. Turner's going to lose his spot any game now.
Yeah. So you're okay with that. You're on the same
Absolutely.
page. Save the money because we'll need money in the future.
Absolutely. And it's a good defense. It's not a Ward Everson combo, as we said on the pod last week rather.
If somebody is super rich and has money that they can afford, what keeper would you recommend? Maybe Johnston, but even Johnston is a little sketchy with Eze out for 6 weeks. So that's
it's still a Hodgson side. I think the fixtures are good, but I'm actually going to recommend Gehi in defense. So that's why I'd probably like to skip Johnston.
Sounds good. I think that's pretty obvious. So let's not spend some more time there. Just in case this is just a wildcard activity. If you guys are looking for a full-blown pod, we discuss when to wildcard, whether you should wildcard in game week 8 or 10, and laid out a lot of solid arguments and gave you food for thought on both sides. So if you're looking for that content first, we did the pod on Tuesday. It's the Game Week 8 pod, which is on the channel. So go check it out.
Spot on. And once again, let's get the early like plug in. It helped us a lot last time, guys. So once again, we are taking time out ahead of like a normal schedule. Both of us are going into work late. So we would really appreciate a like and share on this video, please.
And a subscribe.
Of course. See, I'm still new to all of this.
Yeah. A couple of people in the chat mentioning Raya as a goalkeeper option. Both of us, I think, are on the same page where there are defenders better from Arsenal.
Again, I like going for Gabriel instead of Raya.
Yeah.
Because the fixtures for Ariola and Raya, they're good for a similar period. You can get a sort of similar return for about 0.6 less.
And I just don't trust Arteta. Yeah. I don't trust Arteta. There will be a couple of games where he randomly pulls a Raya start of the blue. I mean, you have Ariola as a second keeper, but then you're spending 4.8 plus 4.2 in those keeper spots when we are going to be struggling for premiums. I'm not fond of that.
Absolutely not. Let's do the defenders and let's get the budget guys out of the way first. I've seen Charlie Taylor quite popular. Let's do that.
No. There's one budget guy that's emerged as I think, going to be a very standard template.
Are you going to say Lamptey?
Yeah.
Please don't say
Lamptey.
No, I don't like Lamptey at all.
We're saying that Brighton defender, that's a wing back that's played fairly well. Estupiñán looks to be out for at least a month. So we're looking at him arriving around game week 10-12 actually. The problem is that when the good fixtures come for Brighton, you are wanting to use Lamptey then. And at that point, Estupiñán could be back. So you reckon you go
for... And Lamptey is made of glass himself. What's the guarantee that he's going to stay fit?
Yeah, and what could happen, just as a, Brighton didn't win their first Europe game, right?
Nope, they did not. They lost.
And it's an easy group. So if they lose a couple more games, by the time game week 10-12 comes around, they could potentially not prioritize Europe. so they could prioritize the league. And
It's
then
not
we
an
have
easy
first
group
starter.
though. It's a difficult group. It's
Yeah.
Marseille and Ajax. So even Estupinan, and my thought is now once he comes back from injury, he will be rotated. So you'll be guessing every week. You won't
Yeah.
know when Lamptey and all starts. Let's just keep him in mind in case we need to raise fund as a fourth defender option. But I think as a fifth, Charlie Taylor looks like a good pick, I think. You can even go for
How much is he?
3.9.
Okay, go for it. Taylor works.
Taylor works.
3.9, that 0.1 saved is important.
Yep. Good
Yeah.
fixture this
And
week
just
as well.
for the listeners, we are building this draft on my team value, which is pretty low. So you should be comfortable building a draft with slightly higher team value as well. Just worth mentioning again why we are picking Bear is because the fixtures look incredible in the midterm as well. So it's a good, not a good, but a decent backup to have. You
Taylor,
could luck out with
not
him.
Bayer. I still like
Yeah,
spending
no.
the 0.1 more if you can for Bayer. I'm not so confident about Taylor keeping starting, but what I had a look on his numbers last season, he actually started at centre back in the championship a lot.
Right now, I feel like Company's team is improving and they're settling in defense. I don't see him shifting that too much or moving the needle. That I don't know. I haven't paid much attention to Burnley.
Yeah. Taylor,
but we
Bayer,
do agree that if you
yeah, that's fine.
That's fine. I think get the obvious pick in place. I think both of us agree that Poro has to be in there and Cash has to be in there.
Let's spend a few minutes on Poro versus Udogi because I had a look at some numbers this morning. In terms of underlying numbers, is not that much to split between them, but the bonus potential of Poro seems much better. And there's some quotes of how he's been working with the Spurs assistant manager to improve the defensive side of his game. So he's on an upward wave. The quality of chances are better. Recency, the numbers are better. So I think the 0.2 is worth it if you're going fresh.
When I saw bits of the game, when I saw the game on Saturday and when I saw the highlights back on Sunday, I was surprised by the position Udogie was taking up. He was parked in the center of the box, but I also wonder if that's because Liverpool were down to 9 men and he had that little bit of extra freedom. But he was playing as sort of like Estupinan on drugs. Like he was just parked in the center of the box. I spoke to Baker about this, our resident Spurs friend, and he was like, "That's what Robbo is." When it was Robbo and Trent as wing backs back in the day, Robbo used to park himself in the box a lot of times, but Poro's just the more complete player. And also, a good thing to look at here is the fixtures that we're looking at. We're looking at Luton away, Fulham at home, Crystal Palace away, Wolves away. There's a lot of these games where Spurs is going to have a high volume of possession. They're going to be parked in the opposition's final third. And you think that the more creative, more complete player is the one going to be playing in balls regularly. The comp that Baker made is Poro is the Trent. He's the more complete player, even though he might not be as advanced as Udogie. Like he's the one going to be probing with crosses, through balls, etc. in those low block games. So that's why I prefer Poro now. Even though my gut was Udogie after looking at the game.
If you need the 0.2, I don't think it's a significant difference. There's somewhere you can. Let's mention that as we go position wise also. If you need to shave off 0.2 somewhere, it's not a huge downgrade.
I'd agree with that.
It's an acceptable one. Then Matty Cash, I think, has to be there.
Yeah, because again, Villa's midterm run in terms of fixtures are good. I think until 15, you don't need to be worrying about a defender at all. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 game weeks of Matty Cash. And I don't mind that as all. He'll probably have to go out around game week 15, and that's something we need to worry about whether when we're overcommitting, undercommitting to Villa. But for now, he's just a good pick.
Any other picks in defense you're set on? The other two spots, I'm not so sure right now. You can look money-wise.
Yeah, I think let's leave that for later, depending on how much cash we have.
Yep. Midfield, right. Aboy Salah.
Are you sure about Aboy Salah? I'm sure about Aboy Salah if you're wildcarding in game week 8.
Preaching to the choir, buddy.
Right. Yeah, nailed on 90 minutes. Insane fixtures for Liverpool.
Remember we discussed the Saka captaincy. That's the only thing where you could possibly take it on, right? Because there is some sort of rotation over there. But with Saka's minutes now a little bit dicey, might be managed a little bit later on. I think Salah has to be in there.
And he's a very strong captaincy option this week. I think I prefer him slightly more to Son as a captaincy option. So you're getting that additional captaincy punt based on what Anne says tomorrow. But yeah, okay, let's build a Salah draft and we'll see what compromises you can do if you're going with that Salah.
Son?
Yeah, Son's got to be in there. Yeah, even if we don't get news, I think you just throw Son in there. I think Luton is a very good fixture for you to not have Son in there.
Pretty confident
I
he'll
think
play.
he's on. Yeah, there were news coming on. I think not news, but some fan opinion yesterday that because they're playing one game a week, they're sort of managing their minutes and injuries, and they're hoping that they get a rest in the international break. So that's not going to likely happen for Son. It could happen for Maddo, but yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a no-brainer to have double Spurs midfield at the moment, especially if you're wildcarding in game week 8, because that's what you're wildcarding into. And that's one of the main reasons I'm not wildcarding, because I own Son and Maddo. So the two main guys who are main threats to get in this week, I already own, who are probably two of the biggest threats right now. So
Yeah,
just
but
reading out Spurs
we'll come to your
fixtures.
team later on. I still don't think that should be a valid reason because those two guys are going to be there by the field anyway. So other people who are going to hurt you around those two. But we'll talk about your team a little later.
Yeah. But Spurs, for attackers, decent purview until game week into oblivion, actually. Luton away, Fulham home, Crystal Palace away, Chelsea home, Wolves away, Villa home, City away, which you don't mind for Spurs. Spurs tend to
They're
get the better
top
of City.
of the scout ticker
Yeah.
for the next 6 game weeks.
Yeah. And until 17, there's West Ham away, Newcastle away, home, Forest away. Like, just the fixtures look solid. Until you want to shift to a Bowen at some point, if Maddo's returns slightly dwindle, until then Spurs look good. And especially the next two look really, really good.
Right. Fourth pick, a little down. Now when money starts getting a little tight.
Just having a little conversation though right now is, what's your opinion, because we are struggling to find defenders, to let go of Maddo, because that's what I did when I initially tinkered, and get a second Spurs defender in there in Udoki, which is a nice price point. Don't need to worry. Attacking defender, a team that has decent fixtures for the midterm, because there are better midfielders as replacement options compared to a Maddo.
That's a fair shout because, yeah, you can get like a Bowen in there. And like we said, we're struggling to find defensive picks a little bit. Not completely against that, but I really like Maddo as a pick by himself. I think he's a great pick.
Yeah.
And eventually, if you need money later on for Saka or something, you might decide to leave Madison in there and downgrade Son.
I was talking to Danny, right? So he's looking at Maddo captain against Luton at the moment. And again, next 4-5 games, 3 or 4 of them are low blocks where the opposition is going to sit deep. It's the sentence he used was so correct. It's going to be 90 minutes of Maddo probing and passing and getting to look into the Luton box, So you sort of think that these deep block games prefer somebody like a Madison. Like they favor somebody like a Madison.
Completely agree. Now, Diaby was one I would have also almost insisted on being put in there, but there's some injury doubts over here. But from what it sounds like, it's only going to be one game week out. What are your thoughts on putting him in there just for the long run, save a transfer?
Injured players are injured till they're fit, is where I am. Like, that problem could crop up again, etc. And especially on Wildcard, I just want to make that move. If he turns out to be a pick, take a 1 week punt or take a sideways punt for the next 2 weeks, attack the fixtures, and then get in Diaby when the fixtures turn massively, which is in game week 10. Because again, Aston Villa's next two are Wolves away and West Ham at home. They're not great fixtures. They're good fixtures.
Wolves is
They're
good.
Not great.
Bring Diaby in if he's fit, but let's now look at other alternatives.
Bowen I was touching to you about, because a couple of people in the chat were asking about Richarlison and Kulusevski. How do you feel about that?
No, better picks in midfield. I'm not there on Richarlison yet.
Because there's a school of thought that what if he plays Son on the wing, but I just don't see him shifting Son on the wing right now. Richarlison stays as a winger only, in my opinion.
Yeah. Specific comments also from Ange that now that Son is playing in the number 9 role, etc. I remember reading that post-game or pre-game. I don't think he's going to move him around now.
He was fairly attacking though in the Liverpool game. Like he did, I thought, he had moments in the game, and there is no competition for his spot now.
Right.
Like Brennan isn't fit for a decent amount of time. I think maybe 2 weeks actually, because Brennan could take his spot. Because Kulusevski, because we don't have Solomon, who's out for 2 to 3 months likely, and we don't have Perisic. So it's between Brennan and Richarlison, and still that's dicey. Like I think Brennan makes his way into the team. So yeah, it's worry. Yeah, I'd go with Maddo.
Done. So, who should we? Let's try to squeeze in Bowen if we can.
Yeah, he's just a incredibly good pick. Tough fixture this week. I mean, kudos to Newcastle, man. Absolutely smashed PSG out of the park, and I enjoyed that. Like you always enjoy a little bit of PSG.
That's why we were both a bit bleary-eyed this morning. I think we were both up late watching that. Fantastic.
Yeah, loved it. And it wasn't like PSG had a chance. Like Newcastle dominated.
Agree.
Have you? Yeah,
So we
cool.
got Bowen in there. The fifth one, I think we might come down to money. Let's leave the fifth one back.
Yeah, and throw in Erling Haaland. I think both of us are in the
Yeah,
Haaland play camp.
still in the Haaland play camp. Very much
Yeah,
so.
his finishing is a little off right now, but I'm just in the Haaland play camp right now. You want to quickly talk about Bowen though? Because both of us are on the same page. West Ham's fixtures in the midterm look incredible. I mean, the next two are slightly dicey in terms of Newcastle at home and then Villa away, but after that, it's
He
a
scored
great
at
run. It's
Liverpool as well. He's just playing striker. Like
yeah,
7 big chances, insane number of shots in the box. Again, money is the problem. You can look at Ward-Prowse, but if you can't
yeah.
get there, I think Bowen is someone you shouldn't compromise on.
And Ward-Prowse to Bowen is a compromise pick.
It is.
Like Bowen is the one you want to get. Like the suggestion that you made on the pod that maybe you start with Maddo and get Bowen in 2 weeks, but Bowen's just hot as a pick. I really and the fixtures after 10: Everton home, Brentford away, Forest home, Burnley away, Crystal Palace home, Spurs away, Fulham away, Wolves at home. It's just a great run of fixtures into oblivion. I like that fixture. I think you back West Ham, who look good, and just go with Bowen.
Agree completely. Now the second striker spot versus a 3-4-3, something we can have a look at a little bit later on. But let's see the fifth midfield spot. But let's put in Watkins for now. See what we can do with the money.
Because you will want Watkins in 10.
Yep.
I don't know how you go with Luton home, Forest away, Fulham at home without Watkins.
Forest away isn't that good though, and even Fulham at home is good, but not to that level. I think Luton is a real carrot over there.
Yeah.
The Gameweek 10 one. Because again,
yeah. And
the next two aren't that great. So I'm still not completely there. Because even Alvarez, right? When I saw the lineups last night against City, and the first thought that occurs to me is look that they can bench Alvarez. But it was 1-1 till he came on and he got a goal and assist within 15 minutes of coming on. That's how good he is right now. And I posted this on Discord, right? We talk about not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Alvarez could be one this week that while you're on Wildcard, you're just like, I want to get the shinier new toy, and Alvarez hurts you over the next 5 to 6 weeks.
Yeah. And out of all the teams, where fixtures don't matter, City is the one that it applies to the most. Like fixture, they're a superior team to every single opposition that they're going to play.
No, and even the fixtures aren't that, like Arsenal's probably the toughest one. They're Brighton, good fixture. United, nobody can say they're a good defense, no matter what fun we make of them, etc. They're not a good defense. Bournemouth at home, good fixture. Liverpool at home, tough fixture as such, but poor defensively. You still expect goals there. Chelsea, maybe a 1-0, 2-0, not that high ceiling you could say, but the fixtures aren't as bad as we think.
And if you remember, Haaland's generally occupying the defenders. That's what the defenders are focusing on in these big games. It just leaves space because it's not always a deep blocks with these tough teams against cities. It could leave space because we remember De Bruyne did so well in all these tough fixtures as an FPL asset. So, and like the more I think about it, Alvarez at 7 million is just a cheat code until he's rested. And there's a little bit of a question around that with players getting fit again, but he could be worth the odd rest irrespective. I think he does well in these big games. I think City is one of the most important players and most informed player right now. And Pep goes with the form guy.
I agree with that. So that's another place at 1 million we can look at. Let's get some other guys in place now.
Defender. I think this is an important conversation to have. A playing defender. Who do we have right now so far in? Like we need a strong defender.
We can say Porro and Cash, you're 2 out of the 3. We need one guy who we can pretty much start every week, I think.
Like only one name.
Newcastle, Burn. You go for Burn or Share. Who are you about to say?
See, it's a tough. The tough decision is Burn or Share. But we've seen with Newcastle that they've shown they're a good defense. They held PSG so well, and their fixtures: West Ham away playable, Palace at home playable, Wolves away playable, Arsenal at home little tricky, Bournemouth away. Then in 13 and 14 they have Chelsea home and United home. Like I wonder whether you go Burn or you go just take the next 2 fixtures on the chin and throw Gabriel in. Because you will want Gabriel game week 10 onwards no matter what.
Correct.
And they're capable of clean sheet even in the Chelsea away game, as far as we know, right? Like Chelsea, in my opinion, what my perception of Chelsea is they aren't as fluid in attack, but they're a fairly tight unit. They're not giving away too many chances. They're having a fair amount of control as well. So you think that clean sheet in game week 9 is manageable?
Palace is
And
another name I want to look at, right? You have Forest. This is a good fixture. Newcastle away, not great. Tottenham, not great. But then Burnley, Everton, Luton. Hodson's side, even without the Eze thing, I think will keep clean sheets. And with Burn, again, you saw the goal yesterday, and I do think he is one of the first choice players. But once the fixtures start coming thick and fast post IB, there is going to be the odd rest. If you're willing to stomach that, I don't mind it.
And so it's between
Burn or
do you think
Burn or Gehi, I think.
are you not Gabriel? Like Arsenal's defense, look at the run post
yeah, but still
game
in the
week.
next 3 or 4, it's like what? Newcastle away, City, and Chelsea, right?
City, yes, but then yeah, you're right. Like you're thinking you're not playable, but Chelsea away, Newcastle away is fine
It's
for a player
playable,
like
but it's not
Gabriel.
ideal, right? Ultimately, you want to jump on him, let's say around 12.
Yeah, but you're
10.
also getting like locked clean sheets, like the success rate of a clean sheet for a team like Arsenal, who have Thomas Partey back, by the way. Like you think that game week 10, 12, Sheffield United at home, Burnley at home, Wolves at home, Luton away are just locked cleans.
So I think that we have pretty much 3 options you can go, I think, for this spot. I think Gehi, Burn, or Gabriel, depending on where you lean. They're all about the same price as well. 4.5, 4.6, 4.7. So as a structure, I think this works.
Can you get both? Can you get 2 of this, or does that leave us too short in attack?
Let's try.
Get like a Gehi who's 4.5. Burn is how much?
4.6. So let's just put him in there for now. So this way you get 4 good defenders. Now it leaves us with 10.1 for 2 positions. So this one is, let's say you put Archer anyway in the forward spot, just to assume we're going like 3-5-2. That gives you 5.6 for that last midfielder. But I think you can put in a Gordon or a, what do you say, Neto.
Yeah. What do you think about the school of thought that people are saying that if you want to cover City attack, you hold Alvarez and get rid of Haaland?
You can't cover Haaland. We already know this.
You can't cover Haaland, right? You're of the same school of thought. Because I had like a few DMs, like after our pod on Tuesday, where people were like, what about a no Haaland draft? What about a no Haaland draft? Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think you can cover Haaland. And I think he's a captaincy option in game week 9. I think he's a standout captaincy option in game week 9. Like, I don't trust anybody else. Who do Spurs have? Spurs have Fulham at home. Maybe you can talk me into captaining a Son against Fulham at home. But after the international break, I'm a little sketchy for it.
I mean, you'd go Salah in that case, Everton home.
Yeah. But there are captaincy options. You're right. Like, with the Haaland conundrum, yes, it's a viable option. But don't come complaining to us if it that's what Alon said. And it's just the same thing. Like he's capable of scoring a hat-trick in any game. Like just as long as you're doing it, know the risks. And, don't let the last 2-3 weeks where his finishing has been a little sketchy, etc., influence you. That's all. What getting rid of Haaland does is that you don't have to rely on a Neto. You can probably get a Watkins and an Alvarez instead of a Neto and a Haaland is where we are. Right, you probably get a stronger defender or you get a Trent, something like that in place. Like, it's not worth it for me. Like, I try finding a 5.56 million enabler instead.
So, should we revisit from the top again? Let's not spend any time on goalkeepers. Let's talk about Trippier. There's obviously a big miss over here. Do you accommodate him, and if so, at whose expense?
No, I want to spend more on attack. In fact, like at the moment, I think, is there a punt in there? Like there are a few punts in there that we can maybe discuss. Like instead of a Watkins and a Neto, do me a favor, throw a Darwin in there instead of Watkins.
Sure. So Neto, we get about 6.2. That's close to Ward-Prowse, I think. Yep.
Yeah, 6.3.
Yep.
Yeah. That's much more, and that's the Turner spot. You go down 0.1 and you get that spot. You
can always find 0.1 from somewhere.
Yeah. And then if Watkins keeps doing what he's doing, Watkins is a good pick, but then you can jump on him in 10 if you want to. Because again, the difference between Darwin and Watkins isn't very high.
So a 0.6 probably will become 0.8 by that time?
Yeah. That's an option, but Watkins is also going to rise in price. That's also the thing.
Right. Right now it's 0.6. I assumed a 0.2 or let's say even 0.3 rise in price. But with Darwin, I worry about the fixture right after the IB. Because remember, Jota is only 1 week out.
Yeah, agreed. I'm just, sorting the FFS ticker by strength for the next 4. Villa's on top. West Ham home, Luton home, Forest away. They're just on top. But Liverpool are third. Brighton away, Everton home, Forest home, Luton away. They're good fixtures. It kind of feels wrong going in with just Salah.
Kind of does. I agree.
Yeah. Well, how much do we have for a striker if you replace Ward-Prowse with Diaz?
I think we'd have to go real bargain.
No.
Probably
I think
closer.
you can get Alvarez.
I think it's easier to replace Bowen with Diaz.
No. Bowen is a non-negotiable because he's a pick that you're going to stick with. Like, I don't want to... How much do we have for the Darwin position?
6.1. You're looking at like your Solankes and all that stuff. I really don't want to go there. It's not worth it.
Yeah, 6.4. Let's see if the chat is shouting out any enablers. Almiron. It's a good shout. 6.3.
Same bot.
So again, if you go with Darwin, then you can get an Almiron or a Ward-Prowse. I don't mind Almiron as a pick. He's a very streaky player, right? We remember last season what happened with Almiron. Once he started scoring, he went on a little run. So when he was hot, and when he scored, he scored.
Don't mind him, but it's punty. I'd personally go Ward-Prowse there. You just know what you're getting. You're getting the odd, like 90 minutes, good bonus, etc., etc. People might say, you already have Bowen. I don't really care about that.
But instead of Almiron, the option you could do is actually get rid of Almiron.
Mm-hmm.
Throw in a 4.4. Throw Nakamba in there.
Let's try with the different formation what we can do.
Yeah. And throw Alvarez in there.
We then have 2.2 to upgrade Archer, so that's 6.7.
Still, life is difficult.
Who are even the forwards at that price? I haven't even looked at that price. Let's put the price at 7. You're getting into Taiwo along, Beto, Visa, Antonio. It's not inspiring.
Uninspiring. Like, I think Watkins plus a Neto or a Darwin plus or a Diaz plus an Alvarez or a Darwin plus a Ward-Prowse is what I'd do for those 2 spots.
How non-negotiable is Watkins for you?
I know I'll want him in 10.
Then I think let's just put him that. He's one of the spots I really don't think we should compromise now. I think let's try putting him in alongside Alvarez and see what we can do, because Alvarez is quite cheaper than some of the midfield guys, right? So that might make things a little interesting. Let's see what we can do. Put Watkins in there, put Alvarez in there.
Man, Alvarez is just a good pick. Yeah. Like, he's a good pick. It doesn't matter.
Maybe you can shave off another 0.5 from defense if you go super cheap. We can explore that. I assume you can shave off 0.6 or 0.7, so around 6.6. Let's say, like, hypothetically, if Diaby is fit.
Yeah, Diaby sorts everything. Diaby sorts you out.
This is a decent shot. I like the balance of this team. Obviously, let's say we downgrade your burn to let's say for argument's sake, let's put in Lamptey there.
Well, that's super thin, that you have 3 playing defenders and Bayer.
Just for theoretically, like, you can compare. People might have better team value. This is exactly 0.0.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tight.
It's tight. You have to go real bargain in defense. And you're losing Bowen as well. Possibly could.
You wouldn't compromise Maddo though. You wouldn't compromise Maddo.
I'm okay with making Maddo into Bowen in a couple of weeks actually. So that's not.
And
too
compromise
bad for me.
Bowen and go cheaper in that spot.
Yep. I like actually the look of this on this, because again, Alvarez, I'm a bit wary about taking him out because at the value you're getting a semi-nailed or almost nailed City attacker.
Yeah, and you're going to need eventually. One problem here is this team has no Arsenal's off, and Arsenal game week 8.
12. Game week 12 it gets really good. Game week 10 is Sheffield, 11 is Newcastle, 12 it gets really good.
Yeah, but even game week 8 is good, man. Just like
Arsenal attacker
even
besides
9.
Saka, like we're talking about an attacker, right? Not a defender.
Attacker and defender, I'd throw a defender in there. I just want to cover those fixtures. Right now, we've done Cashan. We've downgraded Burn.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very thin because Palace's next 2 fixtures are pretty grim after Forest.
Yeah. What happens is if you want a more balanced squad, you need to sacrifice on one of the three premiums, Son, Haaland, or Salah. And then you can have 11 good looking players, but we just don't know if they can be covered.
Or
And
you
trust me, in a
sacrifice
good.
Watkins. You go for, like, let's say a Bowen in that spot. That gives you 7.3. Or you go for, let's say, even a Ward-Prowse and gives you a lot more money to sprinkle around over there. But Bowen gives you 0.7 there, which you can invest in defense. Stabilizes things
Yeah.
out a bit.
Yep. Any other picks? The chat likes. They're like, aren't we expecting too much from Spurs? Daniel Byrne and Lascelles. They're saying Byrne and Lascelles instead of 3.9 defender and Taylor. Darwin
But the thing is, I
can
don't
do
know
over.
if they're trying to see the rotation with Burn is Target or Livramento, right? And again, we're expecting Botman to be back after the international break. So again, Lascelles, I wouldn't go into. Burn again, you could take the risk on, because you could say, let's hope Burn starts the next few games, all three of them, which could very well happen. That gives you a bit more insurance because the fixtures are still there.
Yeah. And he's definitely playing the West Ham game because they will need his physical presence.
Exactly. And post international break, he should play as well because he doesn't go for any international duty. So you could work with Burn over there. Listen, then you get three defenders. If Burn doesn't play, he very rarely comes on. One of these guys can get auto subbed on. It's not the end of the world. I still don't find it ideal. You could possibly, once you raise money, you could upgrade that spot a little bit later. It's not the end of the world.
I want to talk to you a little bit about Gabriel. Thomas Partey is fit. Do you think Arteta experiments the way he did in the first 3-4 weeks? So now Gabriel's good. He's been good as well.
I think Zinchenko being fit has a key part to play in that.
Yeah. You don't think that back four is going to change too much?
No, I don't think so.
I think I'd throw in Gabriel then. I genuinely think I'd throw in Gabriel there because my perception of Gabriel is for Burn. Like or Gehi or whoever you have, right? Cash and Poro and the
Gehi out. I've put Burn in, but yeah, if you put Gabriel in there, it's pretty much a perma play. You play these three guys every week without worrying about any of them getting benched.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Gabriel, right? Because he's capable of a goal on set pieces also, and Arsenal are capable of a clean sheet against anybody. I think I'd be confident playing him in any week. Like it's one of those teams and players where the fixtures don't really matter that much, and you're not behind on Arsenal by the time the fixtures turn. And I think Chelsea away 9 is also a good fixture for Gabriel. Like the only fixture that's a problem is this week.
I'd agree with that. The balance looks pretty good over here, I have to say.
Yeah. Where are we? Can you just read out the team again for
Areola,
the listeners?
It's Areola, Gabriel, Poro, Cash. This is a starting team with Son, Madison, Salah. Diaby, we just put in that 6.7. You could use somebody else as a placeholder short term, maybe Ward-Prowse or whatever the money allows you. Watkins, Haaland, Alvarez. And on the bench, we have Turner, Taylor, Nakamba, and Lamptey. So the bench is super thin. I literally can't go lower than this.
Yeah. So if you want to, upgrade one of those bench spots, I think Watkins to Darwin just seems like the option for me.
I would even consider Madison to Bowen. Just do it 2 weeks earlier. Bowen, because again, playing a striker, I don't think the next two fixtures are necessarily bad.
Yeah. These are the two players. Like a Zoff play would be a Madison to a Bowen, and my play would be Watkins to Darwin that enables you to upgrade one of those defender spots. So at least you can have a solid fourth defender to come in anytime.
My play would actually be no Watkins. I still like having a 5-man midfield.
And Bowen in midfield.
And Bowen in midfield for this spot. That gives you some money. For example, let's say you put over here Archer again and move this guy to the bench. So I keep pressing the wrong button. I need to get better at using this side. You put Archer on there, slot him out, put him over there in a camera. That gives you certain money also now. It'll give you a little bit cash left over, which you can choose to keep on with you, right? For a Alvarez to Watkins move later on. Like in this, just moving this gives us 0.4. Now you can choose to spend that on your defender or just keep that some money because let's say you downgrade Son later on to, let's say, a Saka. You can do something like Saka plays Sheffield United that week. Watkins plays Luton at home. So I said, use Son to Saka, Alvarez to Watkins, boom.
Yeah. Couple of decent suggestions. Shivam suggested that you go Richarlison instead of Maddo for funds. And what you can do is then you can convert a Richarlison into a Mitoma come game week 10 if you want. Like for a slightly cheaper spur. So like getting the two Luton away, Fulham home fixtures, if you don't see that spot as like a perma spot, because you're going to have to think about Saka come game week 10.
Right. In which case you can afford like Watkins in this spot as well.
Yeah. But I still like Alvarez. I just think Alvarez
I
is too
like
good a pick.
Alvarez too. I don't
Yeah,
like getting rid of Alvarez. It feels a bit scary. Just the
Yeah.
form of the player right
Yeah.
now is just on another level.
Yep.
Anything else from the chat we should discuss? So cheap defenders we already discussed. I think it's like Porro and Cash are the nailed on guys. And you look at possibly one from Newcastle, one from
Yeah.
Palace. You can go there, Gabriel. We are okay with
Yeah.
one cheapie. We both prefer Taylor, I think, over Lamptey.
Yeah. Also, one shout I want to make you, if you do get rid of one of the premiums, whether that's Son, Salah or Haaland, then I try to pigeonhole a Trent as an upside differential in there. Like, it's got to be worth it in terms of what you're gaining from losing that spot if you're playing the captaincy game. Like, and it needs to be high ceiling, is where I am.
I'm not
like,
convinced Trent is that high. Trent is that big a pick this year with Liverpool's defense.
Yeah. And he's not playing that attacking, right? But like, I want to watch that Everton home game also before I can make a decision on Trent in Game Week 10. One of the reasons why I'm looking to Wildcard in Game Week 10. So that's where we are.
Let's just revise and again, just as a summary, especially for the guys in audio, the locks we are talking about, and let's count them. Let's put Areola Turner as 2. Let's just count that's 2 locks. Porro, Cash. Go ahead.
Areola and Turner /3.9. We have no comms if you want to find money in that spot.
Basically, minimal position, minimal spend over there. So 1, 2, Porro, Cash. That's 4 spots. Let's put Son in there. Maddison, is he a lock, or do you think that Richarlison downgrade is worth it?
Son and Salah are locks in midfield.
Okay, so we leave Maddison out then for now. Right?
Yeah.
So and then in midfield, let's say Bowen is a lock, or can wait till later. I think he can wait till later. It's not a necessary.
He can wait till later, but he's just a pick I'm convinced about. Genuinely, I'm convinced
Me too.
about.
I'm absolutely. I try to accommodate him, but not to the same extent as I am set on a Salah or a Son.
Yeah. But like that's fairly good. We are both on the same page that we want to start with Bowen. It's just a solid 90-minute guy who's a forward in that West Ham team. So let's just say that we're both feeling strongly about Bowen.
Yep. I think he would be a 90% lock.
90% lock, yeah, fair shout. And Haaland, I think neither of us are in the mood to go without Haaland either.
I think Diaby, if fit, would be a lock for me.
Fair. Yeah, because I'd agree with that. Because he's offering too much for his price.
Even Maddison to Richarlison, I feel uncomfortable with that because Maddo has so many routes to points. Maddo is also close to a 90% for me.
Is Alvarez a lock? No. Alvarez, Watkins are neither a locks for me.
Neither are locks for me. You could go either, and I would say they're both good picks.
Yeah. Cool. That's where we are. You want to quickly touch upon where my thoughts are with the
Yes, let's just bring up your team really quick, and you can tell us what your thoughts are.
Right. Just for the benefit of the listeners, I'll quickly read out my team. I've got Johnston, Kabore, and Bayer as my only fit in playing defenders right now. I've got Son, Rashford, Saka, Maddison, Sterling, Haaland, and Darwin. Now, my entire thinking is that like points are an attack. And I don't see very strong points in defense this week anyway. My planned moves are Chilwell and Estupinan to a Porro plus any defender up to 5.9. So my defense will look like one of Bayer or Kabore that's playing and Porro and either a Cash or a Dallo or something of that sort. Like a defender that has 2 good fixtures is what I'm going to target. I think my attack is fine. If Son is fit, I think Sterling has a good fixture. If Poch says that, doesn't say something like, oh, Sterling's lost his spot and he's going to have to play his way back into it. As long as my 7 attackers are fit, long story short, I think I'm fine. Because I think my 7 attackers and my keeper and Porro are in place. 1 or 2 loose spots, but
I'll just say it reminds me of that fire GIF meme, right? Where this is fine.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me.
I know, but I feel like Darwin is a good differential to have this week. I feel like Rashford and Sterling have good fixtures. I feel like the biggest threat to my rank this week will be the 3 Spurs guys who I will own and who I own currently. And I feel like the wildcard that I might have in terms of information, it could be very similar to what I wildcard now, but it could also be different. Like we don't have that information right now, and it's more than 10, 15 points, and I'm probably taking a hit. Losing out on in the next 2 weeks is where my head is at the moment.
Fair enough. Let's see if you change your mind, and if you do, definitely we'll put out another short video for you guys, either in shorts or like maybe a 5 to 6 minute video.
Yeah, I think one injury. Like if Saka's confirmed injured, I think I need to potentially.
You're not going to get that information from Lego here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Let's wrap up.
Let's wrap up. I hope you guys appreciated the video. Make sure you're liking and subscribing. And yeah, that's where we are.
Great. Thank you, guys. So have a good weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, and vote for us in the FCA's link
Oh,
in the
yes, we
description
forget
below.
that. Please vote for us. The FCA links are in the description below. Thank you.
Cheers.